channel. I'm here today to give you my June TBR, and I ended up choosing a lot of books off of my shelves this month, and mostly fiction from my personal shelves because I will be reading for the third round of the BookTube Prize and reading nonfiction. So my nonfiction reads for June so far are Catch and Kill by Ronan Farrow and The Yellow House by Sarah M. Broom. Very excited to read both of those. And it's possible that I'll be reading more books in my category if time allows, but I'm not going to rush too much this month, or try not to, so that I can accomplish reading all of my fiction reads as well. So currently I'm over halfway in Orlando by Virginia Woolf, and my plan with that book is to create a whole other series of videos around those books, so I'm not going to include them in my TBRs or wrap-ups for the time being, and just going to keep them as a separate project going forward. The first book I chose to read in June is for Caribathon, which is hosted by Karen from Run Right Reads. I will post the announcement video down below, and again, because my library is not yet opened for curbside pickup, I'm really hoping it will open this month for curbside pickup. I had a kind of limited selection from my shelves, but I did have Kingston by Starlight, which is by Christopher John Farley, and Christopher John Farley was born in Jamaica and now lives in New York. And this sounds like a pure adventure story, historical fiction, set in the Caribbean seas, and following Anne Bonny, who calls herself Bon and dresses as a boy in order to become a pirate and work on pirate ships and have her adventures. And so I think this might fulfill the adventure component that I've been looking for in my reading the last couple months. And I'm very excited to learn about this author. He's a new author to me, and read more books that are set in Jamaica specifically. Very, very close to finishing my 5-star predictions list that I created in Vlogmas in 2019. Girl Reading by Katie Ward is my last read for that selection. So this book was one that I just was attracted to by the title, and once I read the back, I thought if anything in the world was a Jenny book, it was this one. So this follows 7, I believe, different pieces of art that are portraits or images of people reading, and the artists and or people that are involved in those things. And it has a timeline that jumps from Renaissance Siena to like futuristic kind of world. So I'm really excited about this. I think that the combination of the artworks talked about and the imagery of people reading and like how that is worked in is very intriguing to me. Very excited to get to this one soon. Also during Vlogmas, I created a 12 authors that I'd like to read in 2020 list, and I wanted to continue that with Tracy Chevalier's Remarkable Creatures. So I've been hearing a lot about this book recently. A lot of different booktubers have been talking about it. Jen Campbell actually did on her on the Toast Instagram an interview with Tracy Chevalier, which I found very interesting. And this novel follows the story of Mary Anning and Elizabeth Philpott, who were from different classes in England, but both super interested in fossils, and they fossil hunted together, and they developed a friendship and relationship that lasted many years. And so this is a novelization of that friendship. Also becoming really interested in female friendships depicted in novels, and so I'm very excited to delve into this and read another Tracy Chevalier. So the 12 authors list, all of the authors on that list, I had read one or more of their works previously, and so I'm very excited to delve back into Tracy Chevalier's world. Another project I have this year, I have a lot of projects, is to read a collection of short stories each month. And I also always want to read a Margaret Atwood each year. And so in order to kind of cross off 2 items on my list this month, I decided to read this collection called Good Bones by Margaret Atwood of her short stories. This collection was put out in the early 1990s, and I think it has a really wide, eclectic range of stories, prose, fairy tale, just covering modern day relationships and all kinds of different things. So I'm interested to see how I get along with Margaret Atwood's short stories. I have read some of her short stories before in some English literature classes, and so yeah, looking forward to this one. I will say I'm finding as time progresses that my relationship with Margaret Atwood is becoming a little bit sordid, and that's just because there is a lot of criticism of her nonfiction writing about Canadian literature and who it excludes and who it includes and how she kind of judges that literature. So I do want to just preface this by saying that I read Margaret Atwood now with a grain of salt, and I certainly don't think that she is the authority on Canadian literature. And so while I do still read her books, I am not necessarily aligned with all of her views about what signifies Canadian literature and who fits into the canon of Canadian literature. Catch and Kill by Ronan Farrow is going to be my first audiobook of June, and I may pick another one if time permits. And I am also going to be reading The Yellow House on ebook. And so that is my TBR for June. There's a lot of other things going on, Reading Women Month. I know a lot of people are doing LGBTQ plus readathons, because in some places this is LGBTQ plus month. So yeah, there's a lot going on. So thanks so much for watching, and I hope you have a great reading month in June, and I will be back in soon with another video.